What's shaking, cats and kittens? I'm Rob Lee, and this is Getting to the Truth in This Art. Getting to the Truth in This Art is an interview series where I interview artists, entrepreneurs, and tastemakers contributing to the culture here in Baltimore. Oftentimes, you'll hear about the negatives, such as poor education, corruption, and violent crime. We're always in the news for that. Or we'll get the goofy questions like, is Baltimore really like The Wire? Is Baltimore really dangerous? The Wire was a television series, and Baltimore is no more dangerous than New York, New Orleans, or Philadelphia. Baltimore is cultured, creative, and vibrant, so I want to get to the truth about what's really going on in Baltimore. So check me out every week for interviews with the hottest artists, entrepreneurs, and tastemakers, and really get down into the real about what's going on in Baltimore. Nothing contrived, all authentic, all Baltimore. So check us out on every podcast platform. Subscribe today. What's shaking, cats and kittens? I'm Rob Lee from Getting to the Truth in This Art. And this podcast is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Bazaar. Bazaar is a gift shop for those seeking the strange and unusual. Got morbid curiosity? Got an interest in natural history? Bazaar's got you covered. Bazaar specializes in antique medical equipment, jewelry, prints, funerary antiques, and many other morbid gifts. The inventory is ever-changing. I'm wearing a great death's head moth pin, and I'm enjoying this hand-poured candle called Overgrown Cemetery. It's great. It has the studio smelling awesome. Head on over to 3534 Chestnut Avenue in Baltimore, it's in that Hamden neighborhood, and see what they got to offer at Bazaar. Tell them Rob Lee sent you. Welcome to Getting to the Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee, and today's guest is a Baltimore-based artist, Jerrell Gibbs. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Rob. I appreciate it.
No doubt, no doubt. I like coming with the energy really high and then suddenly I just bring it down slowly, slowly. There was a few times I think I was talking to a corpse and I was like, oh. Huh. So, I mean, like reading over your bio and looking at some of your work, like I came across because I do a search. I do a search on Instagram of like who's got good stuff, who's doing good stuff, and I see this lovely piece behind you. So good on you for having it out there. So let's talk about your work a little bit. Describe it for the folks who are uninitiated. Got you.
So basically, my works. They come from photographs that I use. I use photographs as my references for the paintings. And these specific photographs, majority of them, about 90%, 85 to 90% of them come from a few photo albums, actually, that I found in my aunt's basement a few years ago. So I've basically been mining those same photo albums for the past few years and creating the paintings from those. Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. So that's one of those things where, you know, in the Black household, at least in my Black household, we can't find old pictures. We can't find photo albums because it's one of those things where my mom and my dad, they're fighting over this baby pictures of me or my brother. And then I don't know if y'all have like the same thing in your family dynamic or even extended family dynamic, but I have a younger brother and he and I looked a lot alike when we were kids. And it's a big difference now because I'm like twice his size. I was like, who is this? And my parents would say, yeah, do you know who that is? So it's like, if you let me, see it, because I feel like old pictures, photo albums and things like that are a form of currency within like the Black community. I agree 100%. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, we really hold on to the stuff that we can say, like, it's really ours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's that's like our relationship with our kids too, like our children.
Yeah.
Just because we can say like, without a shadow of a doubt, that's ours, like we hold possession of that, and we kind of take that to the extreme sometimes.
Yeah. Totally.
But it is what it is. But same struggle here. Like, I don't have I have some photos of me when I was a child and that's starting to resurface because of the type of work that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But still, I feel like there's a lot that is missing. There's a lot of photos that weren't taken. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if they maybe gotten destroyed, lost in like moving, because again, like moving consistently is a big thing within the culture, or at least for my family, we moved a lot, So a lot. I don't know, like if photos have gotten lost during travel, moving from one location to another. But yeah, it's not having a lot of photos is kind of like common. But I think maybe like the generation before our parents were the ones who were big on documenting those times and things like that, because I have a lot of photos from their era and their generation.
I think, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I think like for like generational, that trauma thing is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe having the juxtaposition of the photos representing something that's good. You look at a photo album, in my experience, you don't see like pictures from like a funeral. You don't see anything that's like bad. You only see like, this is your baby picture. This is when we had this party. And I think it's the counter to that kind of shared trauma that we run into. It's not easy being Black in this country. So having something that's yours and that reminds you of really good times, that's something you cherish and hold on to.
Absolutely. But you know, the one thing I got to call a spade, like my aunt, she did a phenomenal job in documenting like everything. Even if it wasn't her specifically taking the photos, she has photographs of like funerals. Like she has photographs of like family or friends in caskets and stuff. So I know, like it was like when I first saw it was one of the weirdest things, but then you just like grow to appreciate like the whole process. Like she wasn't shying away of anything. You know what I mean? She wasn't shying away from anything. And she either collected or took those images herself and like held on to them, you know? So, yeah.
You document those memories. So who or what, and I think I got a little bit of an answer because his family is definitely a component of it, but who or what inspires your creative urges or creative pursuits?
Definitely family and just my day-to-day process. Waking up, reading, researching things that I find interesting to me to that specific day. Travel, things like that. Conversations that I had with like my family, my friends, my wife. And it's, you know, like I can find something of interest within the mundane, you know, like just the day-to-day life. It really doesn't matter, you know, but it's all centered around like family and my day-to-day experiences and the people that are closest to me for the most part.
I dig it. And I think, you know, over the last, we're around the anniversary while we're recording this, the anniversary of like how some of those things have changed. You touched on travel, you touched on the communication with family and such. And those things may have improved for some people during this time and may have gotten like they're different. Let's just put it that way.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I'm a person like outside of this podcast, I cover weird news. I'm always finding stories about someone losing their penis in a car accident or something, or weird things like that. So without being able to travel and run into like real life people to add to it, it kind of makes my work in this kind of space, this audio space kind of change a bit. And everything kind of has a COVID tinge to it. Everything kind of has people are just bored. Yeah. In what ways over the last year do you feel your work has maybe been impacted by, you know, kind of being inside more?
Yeah. I think more than anything, it's made my work more central, even though it was always that, but even more now, it's just really like hyper centered around me and my immediate family. You know what I mean? The people that I spend like my day in and day out with. And it used to be me going out, having those conversations or whatever, but traveling again and exploring and talking with different people and really getting ideas from other artists, being inspired by other artists, other creators, like going to museums and traveling to different shows in different states, you know, like seeing art in different environments. And I'm not able to really do that now. So it's really just about me digging a little deeper and just spending more time figuring out, okay, what else can I talk about?
Yeah, because I think it's doing the thing. And it's like, if you're doing the thing and it comes from you, I think just in a general sense, artists or creating what have you, I think if it's coming from you, if you remove something, then I think that artists are very improvisational. They are they can figure it out. So it's like, all right, if you take my paint away from me, I'll make some paint, you know?
Right.
And I did that.
Absolutely.
So for you, what is more challenging, starting or finishing a project?
Definitely finishing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I mean, I start strong and I'm always fired up with an idea, and I have new ideas like every day, you know, but now I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to figure out how to best make those ideas manifest into reality. And that comes from me sitting down and figuring out what ideas I'm going to like commit the most energy to. So if I come up with 10 ideas in the morning, I'll write them down on my phone typically. And then I'll give it a few days to see which one I'm still excited about. Mm-hmm. And then I'll go with that one and finish that. But that's like what I've had to teach myself how to do that in order to start finishing, because like that was one of my biggest weaknesses, like finishing. Like I would start strong, super charged up, super excited, blasting new new ideas like every day. Yeah, probably 5 to 10 a day, and finishing nothing, you know. So I had to figure out a better way to solve that problem. And, you know, that's what I came up with.
It's a puzzle. I have like, when I talk to people, and again, I'm nowhere in that space, but I have an artistic inclination. I used to paint murals and all of that stuff back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I look at some of my like canvases in here and I'm like, okay, yeah, I finished these. I was real strong 5 years ago. And I look at my closet. It's like, hey, Rob, remember when you were painting? Remember all of these canvases that you've not used? And it's just like, huh, there you go. Yeah, so I definitely know what you mean about not finishing. It's like, just left that, didn't I? What's next?
Yeah. I think it's just, you know, like that impulse, like when that idea hits, you know, like it's nothing that's going to stop it but you know, and the energy that you don't put into it. That's the only thing that's going to stop it, you know. And I think we get caught up in just like the idea, not really focusing on the process to make it happen, you know. But sometimes, you know, like that's not a bad thing. I just think you have to either figure out a way to solve that on your own or just have a team together that do all the other stuff with you. You know what I mean?
I think sometimes like having the team and whatever the creative pursuit one is undertaking, I think where you have that team, and it may be a loosely assembled, not an A team, but like a loosely assembled team where it's just like, get it together. Where are you at? When are you going to finish this? Almost like someone's asking you for money. You know, I'm going to need that 25. Right. And, you know, that's kind of the thing that I find when I'm able to, for me, I have to visualize success to kind of mitigate and attenuate any of the things that would stop me from getting to that next stage. Right. Before COVID and stuff, I would take this show on the road and do it live and do it in front of people, which is wild intimidating because it's like, that didn't land. That bit was not great, or I'm not making any sense right now, or whatever the case is. And if initially when I was going into it, almost like I would imagine similar to someone doing an exhibit, you know, like I'm going to not be here for this. I'm going to let them look at it. I'm not going to be here for it because you don't want to receive that immediate. Some people do, but a lot of people don't receive that immediate feedback. And in that way, so when I was pulling myself out of like those situations, I would just run away from it. And going back to what you were saying, it's like, I'm not finishing this. This is a project that I put my energy towards. I'm here. Right. I've booked this place. I've got these people involved. My team is here. They're poking me. If I would find like, if I didn't see it, like me being successful in it, then it wasn't meant for me to invest in it. So part of my process now is trying to visualize it being a successful thing before even going to that next stage of building it up and seeing where I'm going to invest my time. That same thing of you're saying like, am I still excited about this the next day or what have you? Yeah,
exactly.
So creativity, and this might be the ball buster, right? This might be an early ball buster question. Okay. Do you think creativity is something that a person is born with, or do you think it's developed over time?
I think you're born with it. I do, in your own specific way. I just think we kind of allow society to take it away from us. You know what I mean? Just by the expectations and what you're expected to do, you know, get up, go to work, take care of your family. And that's pretty much it. Watch TV, eat food, like the basic like necessities of, you know, like an average day, you know, like that's what I think is continuously and constantly fed to us, you know, as people. And that drives out that creativity, you know, like that childhood enjoyment that you have with just like finding something small and making it into something. You know what I mean? You just kind of get bogged down with life and expectations, you know, and it really like drains that creative energy, you know, those creative juices.
I'm going to share something with you that I've never said on a podcast before. It's ridiculous.
Okay. Wow.
Back in the day, so like early 90s, Heck Company, right? Yeah. We used to go there. I love Transformers. So back in the day, we would get little bits and bobs, paper clips and things like that. And I would sit there and make my own Transformers out of these like different like pieces of like office materials, right? So
right.
In doing that, I wasn't told no. I wasn't told this is how you do. And I was really creative at that. I was basically doing like a version of sculpture or something and making like outsider art or something. Right. And to your point, as you get older, your imagination and your dogged pursuit of just existing kind of diminishes because you're told this is what you're supposed to do. I remember as a kid, I had delusions I was going to be an astronaut doctor or something wild. And, you know, it's that process of whittling you down into what you want to be in. And I find that, and I want to hear your take on this. I find that artists, depending on what their approach is, they don't really run into that often and in that same way or to the same degree. Right.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, I remember when I was a child, like I started drawing, you know, like that's how I started. I used to draw and sketch all the time. And I never painted, you know, I didn't start painting until I was about 26, 25 or 26. But when I was younger, I used to always draw and sketch. And, you know, I was really into it. Like I was doing it all the time, like very consistent with it. And then just like my family and my community, it just wasn't conducive to like investing in the idea of like creatively doing something, you know what I mean? Or like taking art seriously. Like you can't get a job as an artist. You know what I mean? Like you can't make any money. Like, and that's what that's all we think about. Like at that time is like, you can't make money doing that. You know what I mean? And you kind of, like you said, it kind of dwindles and the imagination just becomes non-existent. You know, but I also remember as a kid, I used to like always have an imagination. I would watch movies and I would act the movies out and I would like create costumes to go along with whatever they were wearing. Yeah. I remember like when I was young, I made this football helmet out of a bicycle helmet. And clothes hangers, I was using those as a face mask. And I mean, running around the house playing football with makeshift like shoulder pads and having a blast, you know what I mean? And really enjoying myself. But over time, those things just get beat out of you.
Yeah, I remember like my brother and I, we were kind of these kids that had like my dad would get any action movie on VHS and that's what the weekend was. So we would just be watching those. I remember we saw a movie and we wanted to get that clout, that early 90s clout. Yeah, we saw this. I ain't see this yet. Out of town middle or whatever, right? And what was the thing? It was this movie Guyver that came out in the early 90s. And, you know, the cover looks really dope. It's like a dude in like a metal suit and all of this stuff. And people were like, yeah, man, we heard about that. My brother and I, we're improvising back and forth, just lying like we saw it. We're just telling a story that did not happen. It's like, yeah, based on the trailer, based on the cover, just making it up. And I'm like, yo, our imagination was wild. Me at 36 trying to do that same thing is done. It's just like, yo, how am I going to lie and make it convincing? It's done.
Absolutely. It's ridiculous.
At that early age when you were drawing and doing other things, making these would-be football helmets and such, was that around the time you realized you had some creative talent, or was that later?
No, I always knew that about myself. I was always interested in like creative endeavors. You know what I mean? In various different, like in different categories though. You know, I was doing music for a bit. I'm not a musician, but I was managing and recording artists as a teenager, early teen, and into my early 20s. You know, I was doing that for a while. And I'm sorry, late teen, early 20s, I was doing that. And, you know, always involved in some sort of like artistic endeavor, you know, like that was never something I shied away from. But my intention behind what I was doing was always monetary. So it kind of like made me, it gave me like this weird relationship with art, you know, whatever art was. It was about earning and making a living, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Sure.
But because of that, it forced me to like look elsewhere other than within myself to figure out that I was the vessel for my own future as a creative myself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It took me time to figure that out. But yeah, I've always been into the arts in some form of fashion. I just, my relationship to it was like, okay, I got to make a lifestyle. I got to make a living out of it. That was the only thing I was thinking about.
Yeah, I've always kind of been around it myself as well. Just whether it be, you know, one of those kids that I'm hurrying up, getting that B on a test so I can draw X-Men or whatever, and getting into so much trouble. Yeah. Just like regularly just doing just different things. You know, there might be 2 or 3 mixtapes from like City College out there. I'm not letting anybody hear those. They were not good. There was a lot of Macbeth raps. It's like you can't talk about selling krills while having iambic pentameter. You can't be that dude. You can't, you know, like doing like spoken word. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's like you can't be a nerd and then a trap
wasn't
rapper.
Even like really cool though.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Good.
When spoken word wasn't really like the thing to do, or like cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I look, it's waves. It's like you get Love Jones, and then you get that period of ain't nobody rocking with it, and then suddenly it comes back for crunchy granola and locks. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
Everyone's drinking rosé, not Moscato, because it's a different vibe.
Right. Hell yeah, that's hilarious.
That's ridiculous. So got a few more questions here. Then I got the one I didn't send you, the ball buster one, the actual one. So ultimately, your work is, it has a personal inclination with it. So what do you hope people would take away from seeing your work?
Truth more than anything. Again, like I'm focused on like the mundane, the everyday, you know, so it's not that I'm not advocating for like people from my community and our culture that are like on television and really like put on a platform. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm surrounded by people that just go to work and live their day-to-day, like on a normal level, whatever normal looks like to most people, you know, and those are the people that I big up and want to continue to elevate to that level, you know, because we are the majority, you know what I mean? And I feel like if we're going to have confidence within ourselves and continue to grow and mature as a people, we have to learn to appreciate and love like where we at now and what we're doing, you know, and it's good enough, you know. So I want to acknowledge, again, my truth and the truth of my family and my friends, my cohorts, and again, put that on a level and put that on a pedestal too, because it's just as important and it's worthy to be praised as well.
It's something extraordinary in the ordinary. And
absolutely.
People miss that all the time. We're going for this top tier. If you're not this, then it's not worthy of attention. And to your point, most people, like you start doing the numbers, let's just look at something that is, people always are chasing the dollar, right? Monetary is the thing, right? So you start looking at people who are making over 500,000, which is not a millionaire, over 500,000. That's not, that's a nothing percentage. So people who are living more of a regular monastic life or what have you, it's fine. Let these people celebrate those regular people because they're making up everything. Absolutely.
I
remember when Watch the Throne came out 10 years ago and maybe 11 at this point, but I think it was 10 years ago. And I remember some of the early takes because I remember things. I remember how people switch it around after when it's like, oh, it's cool now to like this.
Yeah.
So I really like people like, I don't know what he talk about all this art. This is for rich dudes. And I remember that. And it's funny because it's like, it's essentially saying that they're out of touch because of the lifestyle or what have you that they're presenting. Right. But people don't talk about how it's cool just to be a regular dude.
Absolutely.
We don't celebrate that in that way. Yeah.
You know what trips me out though? When I listen to like music, right? And it always, man, it's so funny. So when you think about like the average rapper, right?
Yeah.
And you think about their lifestyle before, even if they do, okay, let's say hypothetically speaking, you got a rapper and he actually blows, right?
Yeah.
So before he blew, when he was just a rapper and everybody knew who the person was, they, to their community or whatever, they portrayed themselves to be, they had money or whatever. All right. They were never broke. Yeah. Then when they get to the point where they blow, somehow, some way they came through the trenches in the mud and they were broke and all of that before. Like, why doesn't anybody ever just want to accept and be what it is when you're there and just allow that to be good enough? You know what I mean? it goes back to that previous thing of, I saw question that artistry there a little bit, because it's like, you're not able to adapt to what your current situations are and make your art a projection of that. That's big. That's big right there. That's big.
It's wild. Like, you're like, you've been rapping about selling drugs for a long time, sir.
Right.
Where are we at now? It's a lot of designer.
Absolutely. Or even if you like, they just never accept, like, all right, if I know a rapper, right, and we are teenagers and there's this facade that, okay, he's not broke or she's not broke. You feel what I'm saying? And then when they actually get on, they were broke the whole time, according to their music. Like, what is that? Like, when we were together hitting the clubs up, like, you said you was good. Like, you buying bottles and all that.
Do I trust mixtape Lil Rel or do I trust album Lil Rel? Like, what do we got here?
Exactly. Like, which one is it?
I slid your rap name, by the way, on the low, by the way.
Yeah, I heard it. It's like Buzz. I heard it.
So what's that? What was the last song you listened to?
The last song I listened to was, his name is Joao Gilberto. He's a Spanish artist, I think. Musician, I'm sorry. And the song was titled The Woman from Empanada, or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
empanada would be delicious, by the way.
Yes, not empanada, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But
I know what you're talking about.
I listen to a lot of different types of music, but that's the last song I listened to today.
So you think having that broad like palette when it comes to music, do you think that impacts on maybe how you present your work? Oh yeah, absolutely. My paintings, even though they're centered around, again, like my life, my family, etc., the approach to why I'm painting each painting is very different. Just like the music I listen to, it really varies. It's just specific to the story that I'm depicting or what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like it really varies. But at the end of the day, it's centered around me and my family for the most part. I dig it. Now here's the last question.
Let's go.
All right. I got to think about what it is, because people have been hitting me back. It's like, yo, look, I got an allergy. It's like, damn. All right. Boom. So that's how you know it's about to be a black question when you start off with boom. So boom.
Yeah.
What's in your chicken box?
Ooh, what's in my chicken box?
That just knocked you back a little bit, right? That's like a straight jab.
Ooh, I got my blood pressure just skyrocketed listening to that.
That's like a political question.
Yeah, definitely. As bad as it sounds, look, I can't go without having my salt and pepper, ketchup and hot sauce in my chicken box. Okay. Like, there's no other way to eat it. I'm sorry. I got the ketchup. I got ketchup on my fries, and I got hot sauce on my fries too, and I got hot sauce on my wings. Okay. And salt and pepper. Salt and pepper, baby.
Regular fries or Western fries?
Definitely regular fries for me.
Oh man, we were on the same page till we got to the fries. Because
I love like Western fries, but I'm more of a regular fry guy. Like the regular fries is just enough for me. Like the Western, it's just too much sometimes. You know, like I don't need all that.
It was a girl I was dating. I was from St. Louis. She was like, so how do you eat your chicken box? I was like, Baltimore, baby. And she was like, what does that even mean? I was like, there's hot sauce in there. She was like, why are you so aggressive? I was like, chicken box are political.
I mean, you can't eat a chicken box without hot sauce. Like that's a no-brainer. Is it?
So I want to give you an opportunity to shamelessly plug yourself, your projects, your website, social media, all of that stuff. Hit it.
Cool. So yeah, just stay tuned. I have a lot coming up. I really can't release too much information. A lot of the things that I do and involved in right now are kind of low key. Yeah. But I do have a solo show opening in Chicago in September. I'm sorry, that was my daughter. She decided to make an outburst out of nowhere.
You good?
I have a solo show opening in Chicago in September of this year at my gallery, which is Marion Ibrahim Gallery, based in Chicago. I think I already said that. My website is JerrellGibbs.com. Everything is JerrellGibbs.com. Facebook, Instagram, website. Jerrell is spelled J-E, 2 R's, E, 2 L's. Gibbs. And I think that's pretty much it. Like I'm not, other than Facebook and Instagram, I mean, I'm rarely active on Facebook, but I'm always on Instagram for the most part. Yeah. I don't do Twitter anymore. I'm not on all of those other platforms. I'm just real basic. Not TikToking it. I ain't even cool enough to do nothing like that, to be honest with you.
That sounded really old too. You're not TikToking it?
Nah, you did.
Like that's not what it's called, sir. So I want to again thank you for coming onto the podcast. This has been a treat. This has been like makes up for what I was telling you before we got started. So this has been fun. It was nice getting to know more about you and your work, man. I
appreciate it. I definitely enjoyed my time.
So for the regular fry guy, unfortunately, Jerrell Gibbs, I'm Rob Lee saying that there's art in and around Baltimore. You just got to look for it.